Hey music fans, as a roadie I had this great opportunity to tour with all these bands. I wrote a book about my experiences on the road and it was the #1 new release on Amazon and Bios and it's now sold millions of copies on Kindle. I'm Joel Roadie and this is my podcast, Party Like a Rock Star. All right, hold the Henry Rollins story. Let's jump into another track because this band is perfect for a great Henry Rollins story. Have we heard of a band called Maximum the Hormone?
I feel like I'm failing you every time I don't know one of these bands.
My next guest on my Road Dogs and Rock Gods series is Spencer Fischer. He climbed his way to the top in a little bit different way than a lot of the guests I've had on. He's a radio DJ. He's been a DJ for 30 years, starting at the world-famous KROQ. Here in Los Angeles, he's seen many a band that he played the first spin on go all the way to the top to become some of the biggest bands in the world. And so, I wanted to bring him on to see what he had to say about your favorite band. Let's do this. This is Maximum the Hormone. I love this band. They're so good. And I think you're going to be blown away is my honest thing here. Now, in the last story here, this is great. I'm carrying on the segments of Spencer's stories, but your stories are random and they're great, by the way. But I suppose it makes sense if you do radio, you would talk to so many people. And it depends on the mood of the day and whatnot. I am a really big Rollins fan, big Black Flag fan and stuff. So I'm intrigued to hear your story. So before that, though, we're going to check out this video together. It is Maximum the Hormone. You can let me know what you think of this band.
I wish that I was just sitting there and enjoying it for the best good time video of the day that you've shown me. However, I was sitting there watching the entire thing as a high-end production detective. And I'm like, all right. The lack of in-ear monitors on the bassist makes me think that there's no backing track. It's possible she's got some kind of little, octave. I've got a little Digitech thing over here that does that, but it feels, all the mics are live. All the mics are live, but it feels like we're playing to something a little consistent behind them.
Okay.
And which doesn't take, especially when there's a dance that has to go with it and it has to be uniform and the same every time. I totally get it. This band's clearly a thing, right? They've got their, they're like, we've got to dance. We will literally kill ourselves showing you how to dance to our stuff. And yeah, that was, the heavy parts were surprisingly heavy. They didn't miss. They always run the risk of when you drop down super heavy to just destroying everything. If you don't do it right, it's like, did you just, poop the bed? You swung too hard. And this was still in pocket, even when it went heavy, but the heavy parts were an absolute surprise. And yeah, this is probably the good time band of the day.
So a lot of that's the kind of one of their characters is they do that. They just totally switch up the song out of nowhere, which is hard to do. It's hard to pull off, like you're saying, because you're rocking away and all of a sudden it's difficult.
Not with ADHD. ADHD can get that done for you.
Yeah, well, they're your favorite band of your ADHD guy. So I totally dig them. They're so talented, I think. So I think they're great. So, all right. What do you got to say about Henry Rollins? I like Henry Rollins.
I've had 14 co-hosts and a ton of these kind of events happen, but the two that were happening is the same guy. And he's a drummer. He was in the band The Revolution Smile. I don't remember, like Sean Lopez of Far. That was his band. And so after years of basically, because he's like, we were alternative and we're so cool. But after years of making fun of Fred Durst on the radio, he would then go work for Fred Durst's band, and Fred Durst would be his boss, which was great. I'm like, would you like for me to play any of what you said for your new boss?
Wow.
But he, it was him with a very similar framework where I got involved and just changed the tone of the interview. It's Henry Rollins, and we've got him because he's playing at the Majestic Ventura Theater, and he's promoting it. And again, it's phone, so it's a little different. And it's weird that I don't ever have any of these moments in person. Like there was a point, and I'll say it now, when I've got Taylor Hawkins, drummer for the Foo Fighters, in my studio, and my old drummer, but this is like several co-hosts ago, he is that drummer, and he's like, dude, Taylor went into a coma and he had to learn to play drums all over again. Well, I didn't know that it was a drug overdose that happened. And so I asked him to his face, I'm like, are you cool talking about this? Because that's like the biggest thing I can imagine. He goes, do you mind if we don't? Because I just imagine that you've done amazing things every day of your entire life, but all anybody wants to talk about is the one time you messed up. And I'm like, I totally respect that. Yeah. And so that's how it happens when you're in person. Sure. But over the phone, and it's Henry Rollins, and basically I'm like, you're the dude from Black Flag, you're the you're Henry Rollins. Do you find any irony that you are consistently cast as a cop in just about every movie that I see you in? You're a cop. And he's like, or I should say, to quote you, standard issue street soldier. And he's like, oh, right, yeah. And it's like, I go, but you were in Bad Boys too. I go, most notably and recently. And he goes, yeah, that's it. And he goes, what was it like? And what was it like working with Will Smith? And which is a softball question. He goes, he's really interesting, and he knows a lot more about music than even I gave him credit for up front. And then my co-host goes, what would Will say if we asked him about you? He's like, oh, that's one crazy white dude. And he stops the whole interview and he goes, I don't know if he'd say it like that. I'm like, and the air leaves the room, because it's like, oh, it's basically, he's making the point that it's like verbal blackface, but we're just radio and people do impressions. You want me to do an impression of Will Smith right now? I'll teach you how to rap like Will Smith. All you gotta do is start it up high, and then you bring it down low, and then you bring it up high. Right? That's just, I'm not, it's not disrespectful. It's just an impression. And it sucked the air out of it. And then I was like, I'm like, Henry, he didn't mean it like that, and again, it was him going after my co-host. And I kind of like
jumped.
That sucks, man, that you had to kind of like create that moment. And then I went to go see the show later that evening, and I know basically. Was it the
Rollins band show, or was it spoken word?
It was just Henry. It was a band. It was a band performance. It wasn't spoken stuff. And and some girl up front was like flashing him, and he goes, "Now what do you expect me to do with those? Put your shirt back on." I was like, I'm thinking we got off easy, because like if that was that was a little, I'm like the person that's like, yo, Henry, and he's like, you got to know that somewhere she's going, how did that go wrong?
It's a little embarrassing for her. Oh, it's funny. All right, I like that one.
Yeah.
Why don't we jump over to the UK? Have you heard of a performer named Ren?
I want to say, is that RENN?
Nope, just one N.
Just Ren, okay. No.
All right, you're in for a treat. This guy's genius. So,
Ren 182. I know the Prophets of Ren. I know Ren Wolf. No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't know Ren.
All right, let's see. Hey, the podcast is over. What are you still doing here? Well, while you're here, like and subscribe. Thanks.